What if the people you've lost are closer to you right now than they've ever been? Not as memories, not as ghosts, but as active living guardians standing between you and things you'll never even know threatened you. Padre Pio, one of the most mystically gifted saints in Christian history, spent his entire life delivering a message that most of us are simply too heartbroken to fully receive. Today, that message is for you. Grief has a way of making the world feel like it's been divided into two sections: the living and the lost. You stand on one side of a wall you can't see through, and everything you loved is on the other. That feeling is real. The pain is real. But according to Padre Pio, the wall itself is the illusion. This stigmatized mystic from Pietrelcina, Italy, walked with one foot planted firmly in eternity his entire life. He saw what most people are not permitted to see. And what he saw shattered the idea that death is a door that closes. He insisted, a door that opens, and not just for the one who walks through it, but for everyone they left behind. Before we go any further, if this kind of content speaks to your soul, make sure you're subscribed to Living Hope. Hit that bell so you never miss a word, because what we share here isn't filler. It's the kind of truth that changes how you move through your days. Now, let's go deeper. Padre Pio taught something that very few spiritual teachers in the modern world are bold enough to say plainly. Your loved ones did not stop loving you when they died. They leveled up. Think about that. While they were here on earth, their love for you was filtered through tiredness, illness, distraction, pride, fear, and every limitation that comes with having a human body. They wanted to protect you more than they could. They wanted to understand you better than their own wounds would allow. But the moment they passed through death into the light of God, every one of those limitations was stripped away. And what remained was pure love, unfiltered, unobstructed, and infinitely more powerful than anything they could have offered you while they were still breathing. This is not poetry. This is what Padre Pio witnessed firsthand through the visions God granted him across decades of prayer and suffering. The souls of the faithful departed don't simply rest. They servi. They are given what he described as a holy mission of guardianship over the people they left behind. Your mother, your father, your child, your closest friend. The moment they arrived in the presence of the Creator, they were handed an assignment, and that assignment is you. They intercede for you with a holy urgency that no earthly prayer could match, because now they see your life from God's perspective. They see the dangers you can't see coming. They feel the burdens you're carrying, even the ones you haven't told anyone about. And they are constantly working on your behalf in ways that are often invisible but never inactive. Have you ever narrowly escaped something you didn't even know you were headed to? Have you ever felt a sudden pull away from a decision, or a strange peace settle over you in a moment that should have been panic? Padre Pio would say, don't chalk that up to luck. That was intercession. That was someone who loves you, doing the work they were given to do. The love you shared with them on earth didn't disappear. It became the very fuel that powers their spiritual action. Every prayer you prayed together, every sacrifice made for one another, every moment of genuine love you cultivated, all of it became a kind of spiritual currency that they now spend on your protection. One of the most comforting things Padre Pio said, and he said it repeatedly to the grieving people who lined up for miles to speak with him, is that our departed are not far away in some distant cosmic address. He put it in the simplest terms he could find. He said, they are in the next room, just in the next room, not across galaxies, not locked behind some impenetrable divine curtain, right here, right now, in a dimension of peace and presence that overlaps with our own reality, like a second layer of the same moment. When you speak their name out loud, they ARU. When you sigh with longing for them at 2 a.m, they feel it. When you kneel down and ask for their help, you are not sending a message into a void. You are starting a conversation that was never actually interrupted. It only changed its frequency. That's the image Padre Pio returned to again and again. Not silence, not separation, but a change in frequency, like tuning from one radio station to another. The signal doesn't die, it shifts. And when we pray specifically, when we pray for our departed loved ones and ask for their intercession in return, we are doing the spiritual equivalent of adjusting the dial. We are creating, as Padre Pio described it, a bridge of light between their world and ours. And over that bridge, protection flows. not in abstract spiritual ways that don't touch real life, but concretely into our homes, into our families, into the specific places where we are most vulnerable. This is the part of Padre Pio's teaching that I think gets overlooked the most. It's not a passive comfort. It's an active spiritual reality that you can engage with. You are not simply comforted by the idea that your loved ones are at peace. You are invited into a living relationship with them, a relationship that has not ended but has become more powerful, more clear-eyed, and more purposeful than it ever was before. The grief you feel is real and it deserves space, but it doesn't have to be your only experience of the people you've lost. You can grieve and still reach. You can miss them and still talk to them. You can ache for their presence and still ask for their help. And Padre Pio made clear that they are not passive on their end either. From their place in eternity, our loved ones actively work to align our steps with God's will. They are not watching from a distance with their hands folded. They are our most fervent advocates, our most dedicated prayer warriors. They take every ounce of suffering they endured in this life, every illness, every heartbreak, every sacrifice, and they offer it to God on our behalf. Their pain was not wasted. It became merit. And that merit is now being poured out over you like rain over dry ground, drawing blessings toward your life that you may not even recognize as answered prayer. Think about the ancestors in your family who died in faith. Think about the grandparents and great-grandparents whose names you might barely know, but who suffered and prayed and loved across generations before you were ever born. According to Padre Pio's understanding of the communion of saints, those souls are part of your spiritual army. You did not arrive in this world alone, and you are not walking through it alone now. You are surrounded by a company of souls whose love for your family line stretches back further than your memory can reach, and whose intercession wraps around you like a wall of prayer that no darkness can easily penetrate. No one who has loved and been loved walks truly alone. That sentence might sound like a bumper sticker until you actually sit with it, until you let it mean what Padre Pio meant when he said it. The people who formed you, who raised you, who sat beside you in the hardest years of your life, they did not dissolve. They did not become nothing. They became something greater, and that greater something is still oriented toward you, with the same love, only perfected now, clarified, freed from every selfish impulse and every moment of weakness they ever had on earth. If you've been carrying your grief like a weight that has no purpose, I want to offer you a different way to hold it, the way Padre Pio offered it to thousands of broken people who came to him in Italy, clutching photographs of their dead children and weeping. He didn't minimize the pain. He didn't rush past it. He sat in it with people because he knew grief is sacred. But then he pointed them forward. He told them that the ache they felt was not a signal of loss. It was a signal of love. And love, he said, is the one thing that death has absolutely no authority over. Every day that passes is one day less between you and the reunion. That is already written into the logic of your faith. That is not wishful thinking. That is the testimony of a man who bore the wounds of Christ in his own body for 50 years, who spent his nights in spiritual warfare, who gave his entire life as an offering so that he could see clearly what most of us only glimpse in our best moments. And what he saw at the center of it all was this: the love of God is the thread that runs through every life, through every death, through every moment of longing and every moment of breakthrough. It does not break. It does not thin. It holds. Until the day of reunion comes, you are invited to live differently because of this truth. Not in denial of your pain, but beneath the covering of the people who love you from the other side of the veil. Talk to them, pray for them, and ask them to pray for you. Light a candle, say their name. Tell God you trust that they are in His hands, and ask Him to let their intercession reach you in the places where you need it most. Because according to Padre Pio, who saw all of this with his own eyes, that prayer does not bounce off the ceiling. It rises. It is received, and it comes back to you as protection, as guidance, as the kind of quiet assurance that gets you through the days that would otherwise break you. Death, in the vision of Padre Pio, is not the end of love's work. It is the beginning of love's perfection. And that perfection is already being directed towards you right now, today, in this very moment, by the people you think you've lost. They are not gone. They are given to God yes, but also still given to you in the fullest and most powerful way they have ever been. That is not the comfort of someone who doesn't know what grief costs. That is a testimony of a saint who paid a price most of us cannot imagine in exchange for the privilege of knowing what is true. If this message reached something real in you today, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And if you haven't already, subscribe to Living Hope, because we're just getting started.